Hi everyone and welcome back to the multiverse of 100 plus data science project series. In this video, we're going to creating here a project called NutriNavigator, which one is a recommender system itself. Here it will give you some recommendation based on your personalized diet, restaurant, also the workout type. So let's have a look about NutriNavigator, the application that is created using Flask and Python. So this is the interface, how it look like. NutriNavigator, personalized diet, restaurant, and workout recommendations using AI. So let's give one age. Let's give my own age, 25. Gender male, weight, let's say 70 kg, and height, let's say 6. And I am non-veg. Disease, let's give it to none. Allergies, let's none. So let's say none. And region, obviously India, Kolkata. India, Kolkata. It should be Kolkata. And food type, as for sure, Bengali. And click on recommended diet and click on here. So it will give you some recommendations for restaurants, breakfast, dinner, and workout. So let's say restaurant. That's the restaurant name, Old Kolkata. And breakfast, luchi with alur tarkari, misti doi with puffed rice, Bengali style omelette, jalmuri with boiled eggs. अच्छा लगता है मुझे. Then dinner, biryani with chicken or fish, kosha mangsho with luchi or rice, bapa ilish with steamed rice, chingdi malai khari with steamed rice. मुझे अच्छा लगता है बहुत. Mutton rajala with roti and rice. And worker type, bricks working for 30 minutes, Omega for flexible and stainless. So those are for the workouts type. So in this video, you're going to creating here this full project from scratch using Python, Flask, and GenAI. Let us start building our NutriNavigator. So already creating here a file called main.py file. And in this file, I'm simply going to writing here all of the code. So first what I can do is simply going to importing here some of the important library. And for this case, you're going to be using here the LangChain. So what I can do first, I'm going to importing here the LangChain. Let's say from LangChain dot prompt. I'm going to import here the prompt templates because prompt template is nothing but one kind of template where you can use to write your prompt and you can pass it to your large language model. And for this case, you're going to be using here free and open source model from Groq. So let's say prompt, and you can say that prompt templates. So it should be langchain.prompts, not prompt actually. Prompts, you're going to import here the prompt templates. And then you're going to import from langchain dot chains. We are going to import here the LLM chain. So using this, we can simply go to creating here a chain of LLM. As well as we're going to importing here the LangChain Groq. So what I can do, I am simply going to import it as a from LangChain and as Groq. I'm going to import here the chat Groq. So this chat Groq. One more thing also, make sure that you are using here Python 3.12. I mean, it's better you can use in the Python version which one is greater than Python 3.11, because after Python 3.10 or 11, the large language model is coming into the pictures. So what I can do, I'm going to selecting here the new interpreter. For that, I'm going to selecting here this Python 3.12. Okay, so make sure you also do that. Now what I can do is simply will also import here the OS as well as the regular expressions. So let's import here the OS so that we can also do some operations in our operating systems, just like file creations like that. If it is needed, we will use it. Then you're going to import here the RE. So RE also stands for the regular expressions. So it's also needed at all because you're going to be creating here and projects about the workout or the restaurant as well as the diets. So it's all needed in order to removing some the regular expression from our textual data. Now we're simply going to accessing here our large language model. So for this case, I'm simply going to go inside the Groq Cloud Workspace. So this is the Groq Cloud dashboard. You can simply go here on Google and search for Groq Cloud, and you can easily sign up with your personal account. So what I can do, I am simply go inside this documentation first. So here you can see the documentations. You can see the model. The several types of model are available, just like Gamma 29B IT, which one is free and open source model. So you can also using here the Gen AI, I mean the Google Gemini, as well as the GPT models. So I'm going to using here this Llama 3.3, as well as you can also using here the Distill model. You can Whisper model as well. You can also use that, as well as you can also use the DeepSeek Aron and the Meta Llama 4 model as well. So I am simply going to using here the 3.3 17B versatile. Otherwise, you can also use the model from this Meta Llama 4. This is the completely new model, and because of token size is so low, so that's why I'm not going to use it. And in here, the token size is bigger, so I can process it easily. So what I can do, I'm simply going to go inside this API key sections, and then I'm going to creating here a secret API key. So you can see I'm already creating this one. So I'm going to delete it out, revoke the key, and I'm going to creating here another one. Let's say diet project. Okay, let's say diet project. And then I'm going to click here to verify you are a human, and then click on submit, and I'm simply going to copy here the API key. I'm going to copy it, then I'm simply going to go inside my Visual Studio Code. So what I can do, I'm going to creating here the chat Groq model. I mean, I'm going to access it. So how can I do that? I can using here this chat Groq, and inside the chat Groq, I'm simply going to give it to here the API key. That's the API key that I copied from here. You can also add it to and dot environmental variable. You can do that, you can access it easily, but I'm going to delete it out after recording this video, so that's why I just show it to you. Okay, and then after that I'm going to give it to here the model. So model, so what I can do, I'm simply going to go into this website again, and then close it and go to the documentations, and then I'm simply going to go to the models, and then I'm going to using here this llama 3.3 17 version. Otherwise, let's try to using here this one, this maverick. You can also using this one. Let's try to using this one right now because this is the quite new. So let's go on here, and then I'm going to pasting here the model name. There's a model name, and after that I'm simply going to give it here a temperatures. Let's say temperatures. So let's say temperatures, and I'm simply going to give it here 0.0. So this is nothing but my large language model. So let's make it a variable called llm underscore, let's say rest2. It's because it also suggests me the restaurant, so that's why I just make it as a llm underscore restaurant. Now we need to creating here an prompt template. You can also checking this out. Anything wrong? Anything wrong? Okay, I need to give it here on comma as well. So you can also running this LM model. You can invoke it. You can ask him some questions to this large language model. So what I can do, you can simply go into printing here a statement. Let's say LLM restro. You can say restro dot. You can use the run keyword as well as you can also use here the invoke. So let's say what is Python. Let's say what is Python. Let's see it is working or not. Let's say this one, and then I'm simply going to give it to here to running this application. Let's click on run file, and it will hopefully give the response. You need to wait for a few seconds because first time it is running, and it will accessing the API key as well as the Meta Llama 4 model. And let's see it will give me any kind of error or not. Yep, chat Groq update has not even run. Okay, it should be the invoke. So invoke. So I'm simply going to save it, and I'm going to run it to here. Okay, so let's close it right now, the first one, and it will running these applications. Okay, main.py. So okay, I need to waiting for a few seconds. Okay, it's running in Python 3.8. So you need to go on here and Python file like that. Then it is running in the Python 3.12 because in our BS code, it's already selected as a Python 3.8.5. That's why. So you're waiting for the answers. Well, so you got the response. You can see Python is a high-level interpreted programming language known for the simplicity, readability, and the versatility. That's when we get the response from this Llama 4 model. Cool. Now what I can do is simply creating here a prompt template for this NutriNavigator. So I can simply go to creating here a variable called prompt template. So let's say prompt underscore template, and then I can make it as a rest2. Okay, just because we're going to also creating it for the restaurant as well. And then inside that I'm going to give here one prompt template that we already imported from here. You can see prompt template, and inside this prompt template you can give it here two things. One is the input variable, another one is called templates. So I'm simply going to give it here some kind of input variables. So in the demo video, you can see we give it here some kind of input to our UI, and based on this input, it will give me a result. I mean, give me some kind of recommendations for diet, restaurant, workout, as well as the dinners. So those are called the input variables. So in our case, we have several types of input variables that we see in our application as well. So first is nothing but called the age of the persons, then the gender. So gender, then as well as it have the weight of the person and the height, because those are the features needed in order to creating here our diet recommendation system. This called the NutriNavigators. As well as you need to also give it here is a non-veg or veg. So let's say veg or non-veg, or you can say or non-veg. And then you can also say that if the person have the disease or not. So let's say disease. Then we can also add it here the region, which region he's from. So let's say regions. I am basically from the India, Kolkata. So that's my regions, and I'm a Bengali. So let's say allergies, if the person have the allergies or not, allergies. And then we need to also give it the food type. So my food type is nothing but the Bengali food type, mache bata Bengali, like that. And then it also give it here one templates. So what I can do, you can simply give it to here comma, and then I have to give it here at templates. So this is the template that I have to pass it here to our large language models. So what I can do, I am simply going to copy the template that I already done, and I am simply going to pasting here the template. You don't worry about this code. You can get this tools in the video descriptions. You can simply access them. Okay, so I copied it out and I'm simply going to paste it to here. That you can see diet recommendation system. I want you to provide output in the following format using the input criteria. So the restaurant, this is nothing but my output that I can accept. Okay, then you can see here the breakfast, the dinners, and the workout, as well as I'm going to pass in here some of the variables in our prompt as well: age, gender, weight, height, vegetarian or not, disease have or not, region, which region, and the allergies or the food preferences. Okay, so just give it to as in the form of variables in our prompt templates. So that's my input variables, and I'm going to pass it to here as well as the templates. Now based on that, it will give me some kind of diet recommendation systems. It will give the restaurant, the breakfast, dinner, as well as the workout time and the places as well. Now I'm going to creating here a chain. Okay, that's why I also imported here the LLM chains. So you can creating here a chain. So let's creating here a chain. Let's say LLM chain. So let's say chain, and inside this chain, we're simply going to passing here our large language model. So our large language model is something called RS Resto, and then you're going to give it to here the prompt. So prompt is nothing but our prompt template Resto itself. So let's say prompt template Resto, and this is nothing but our chain. So we make it as a chain, and then in our chain, for testing purpose, what I can do, we're simply going to give it to here some kind of input data. So you give it here age, gender, weight, height, batch or non-batch, disease, regions, the allergies or not, food. It's not a football, it should be food type. Okay, so it should be the food type. So sorry for my bad actually. So food type, I have to also pass it to our large language model as input data. So what I can do, you can be creating here a list for that, or you can also creating here a dictionary. So let's say input data. So you're going to creating here a dictionary. It's look like the JSON format. So in here we have the key and value. So our first key is nothing but call age. So let's give it to my own age. Let's 25. And then we have the another next variable is nothing but call the genders. So let's say gender, male, and then weight, let's say weight, so let's say 70 kg or 71. And then let's give it to here the height. So height is 6, so we need to give it to here, okay, 6. And then give it to here batch or non-batch, let's say batch or non-batch. So I am non-batch actually, non-batch. Then I have to give it to here the disease. So let's say disease, let's give it to here none. And then as well as I'm going to give it to here the region, let's say region. So I can give it to here India, Kolkata, because I am a pure Bengali. And then I'm going to give it to here the food type. So let's say food type. So food type is Bengali khana. Okay, let's say Bengali. So that's the input data. So now what I can do, I am simply going to run it. So we can using here chain dot run, and inside this run, I'm going to passing here the input data. So in the chain, you can give it to here the method called run, not here, because we're also using here the invoke in case of the LLM. Okay. Now we're simply going to make it as a variable called result. So let's say results. So now I can also printing this out. Let's say print the results. Okay, it should be the results. So I'm going to save it, and I'm simply go on here and run Python file. So it will also taking a few seconds at well, and to waiting for that. And after that, you're going to using here these regular expressions. Okay, So missing some input key, batch or non-batch is okay. I need to also give it to here batch non-batch. Okay, we also miss here the allergies. Okay, so batch or non-batch as well as the allergies. That's the problem actually. So I need to also give it to here. We can after region, right? After region, allergies is coming. So after regions, then we need to give it to here this allergies. So let's give it to here none. Okay, it should be the inside quotation. Okay, let's say none. And batch or non-batch, let's see batch or non-batch that you can see on here. So I give it to here the non-batch. Okay, let's try to save it now, and I to also give it here a comma, and then I can also running it out here, run Python file, and age, gender, weight, height, batch or non-batch, the disease, region, allergies, food type, and Bengali. Okay, so they're running this out. You can see to also give me some kind of recommendations. You can see, okay, you can see on here. So based on the input criteria, here are the diet recommendation system output. Restaurant, six value places, so Kolkata, Mokambo, Petercat, Ajat Hind, Kawab. Okay, luchi with cholar dal, paratha with vegetable curry, मिष्टी doi with cornflakes, इडली with sambar मैं नहीं खाता हूँ, पोहा भी नहीं खाता हूँ मैं, बंगाली स्टाइल ऑमलेट with toast वो भी चलता है, কষা মাংস with rice, সর্ষে ইলিশ with rice, chicken biryani, आलू पुस्तो with rice, चिंगड़ी मलाई all of my favorite dishes, but चिंगड़ी मलाई बहुत ज़्यादा खाता हूँ मैं. इसके बाद है वर्कआउट, बरप्रेस, पुशअप्स, स्क्विट, लंगस. ओके, cool, 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 cool. And you can see restaurant, the listed include a popular Bengali restaurant in Kolkata. And breakfast you can see, you can also see the dinner, the workout, all of the things you can see. Okay, in case of llama 4. So let's try to using here the model that's called llama 3.3. Okay, and wait for the output. Let's say llama. So it's not even called llama 3.3, the 17 billion versatile. Okay, let's you can say the versatile. So let's try to using this out and see the output. Let's click on run file. So you can see llama 3.3 17 billion. Okay, make sure your spelling is correct. Okay, you can see some kind of information regarding this llama 3.3. So same restaurant, breakfast, luchi with alur dum, misti doi with paratha, jal fry with rice, puri with chana masala, Bengali style omelette, शुटको विथ राइस या अच्छा, इसका बिरयानी विथ चिकन रजेला कषा मांस, ये तो रहेगा, पर कषा मांस रहेगा, बापा इलिश विथ स्टीम राइस, चिंगड़ी मलाई खारी विथ राइस, मटन डक बंग. ओके, cool. Workout, bricks working along with the Ganga rivers, my favorite places. Yoga at home or in a local stadium, swimming in a nearby pool. Okay, that's when we see that in the case of llama 4, it's also give me some kind of goat suggestions in the case of llama 3. Okay, so let's using here the llama 3.3. Okay, you can also using here the llama the 4 as well, but I'm prepared to using here the llama 3.3 because llama 4.4 is nothing but coming just recently. Okay, so now what I can do is simply going to do some kind of cleaning in here, because if I see it, let's say if I'm going to open the terminal. So okay, it's closes. I need to running the file from here, and then I can simply going to seeing this out. Okay, let's try to close it. So we can see that in case of restaurant or in case of breakfast or dinner, so we can simply going to remove some of the regular expression from here. So that's why I actually imported here this RE. So that we're going to make it as a clear, and we can also show it to our applications. So that's the main thing actually. So you can see in the case of restaurant, you can see some kind of things that I can see. So I can simply going to removing it from here if you run it in the form of llama 4. So I'm simply removing those things from here if it is have. Okay, but in our cases we don't see that, but if we have, then it also take care of them. So how can I take care of them? So I am simply going to creating here a variable car restaurant name for the restaurant, as well as the breakfast name and the dinners and the worker names. Let's say rest torrent, let's say restaurant, let's say names. So in case of here, you're going to using here this re dot find all. So let's say find all. because in here you can see we also give it the word name called restaurant, that you can see on here. So in those cases, what I can do is simply take in the restaurants, and after all of the word, we simply going to block it until it hits to the new lines. So that's then you're going to using here this reader.balls that's make match the new line too as well. So let's try to give it to here find all, and in this case we're going to give it to here the restaurant. So let's to run. Okay, restaurants, the same name on here, restaurants. And then after that you're going to using here these those some kind of the non-degree methods. So I can using here, let's say backslash n, forward slash n, then a static sign, then as well as I'm going to using here dot static sign question mark, which one is nothing but called non-degree match to get only the relevant block of the each category. Okay, so if this have it, if it is give me the result like that. Okay, so if I go to checking this out again, let's see if I am using here this llama 4 model, that you can see it clearly. So if I running this out, then if I'm going to give it to here, and then I'm simply going to printing this out, then you can understand what actually happening here. That's a results, and I am simply going to comment this down, and I'm going to run in the file Python file on here. Then you can see some kind of thing inside the llama 4. So you can see here it has some static sign, that you can see static sign, as well as it having some comma, as well as so many things from here. Okay, that you can see it have the comma or some kind of special characters. So as well as it also go to the next line, that you can see next line. So we're going to just taking this all of the value from the restaurant. Let's say this is nothing but for the restaurants. We're going to taking all of the value for the restaurant. We're going to taking all of the value from the breakfast. That's when it will just going to looking for the block right restaurants, and until it hits to double to the new lines. That's when after the restaurant is after the restaurant value is actually ended, then it will go for the breakfast, because in our application it also showing the value like that. Okay, आई थिंक आपको समझ आ रहा है, क्योंकि यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा है ना, देखो मैंने जब एलएलएम को ट्रिगर किया तो एलएलएम में क्या किया, हमको कुछ रेस्पॉन्स दिया, तो उस रेस्पॉन्स को देखो, रेस्टोरेंट के अंदर क्या है ना, ये 6 तरह का रेस्टोरेंट है, लेकिन जो हमारा कोड है ना उसको पता नहीं होगा, वो रेस्टोरेंट के अंदर ही है। तो जब न्यू लाइन पड़ेगा, यहाँ पर न्यू लाइन पड़ेगा, एक ब्लॉक हिट होगा, एक ब्लॉक खत्म हो जाएगा, उसके बाद दूसरी ब्लॉक में स्टार्ट करना चाहिए, इसलिए हम यहाँ पर ये काम कर रहे हैं। लेट्स से दिस ब्लॉक इज नथिंग बट रिजर्व फॉर द रेस्टोरेंट, एंड दिस ब्लॉक इज रिजर्व फॉर द ब्रेकफास्ट, दैट्स व्हाई। ओके, आप समझ आ रहे हैं आपको? सो आप क्या करें, सेम मॉडल में जाते हैं हम। मॉडल कितना है, लामा 3.3 17 बिलियन परसेंट। ओके, इस मॉडल में हम आ जाते हैं, सेम थिंग यहाँ पर भी होगा। Then after that, what I can do is simply to give it to you some kind of backslash n. Let's say backslash n. And then you're going to pass it here the result. Let's say result and results. And we can also give it here re dot all. So it's just making the dot, the new lines too. I mean, how it's get to the dot, it makes it dot to the new lines. Okay. So let's say dot all. So let's say you can say that dot all. Here you go. So that's the restaurant name. So you can also printing this out. Let's say I'm going to printing here this restaurant name. So let's say restaurant names. So I'm simply going to save it and I'm going to run it to from here. Let's say click on run file. So restaurant, make sure your spelling is correct, otherwise it will give you some kind of error as well. So you can see it will just keep me the restaurant name. See, from the full text, it's just starting here this restaurant value. Okay, that's why I actually using here this re.find all. So it will just finding all of the value which one is regarding to the restaurants, only regarding to the restaurants. So same thing, it also do it for the breakfast and the dinner, right? So let's copy this out, and I'm going to paste it to here. So this is nothing but for the breakfast. So let's say breakfast, and this is nothing but for the dinner, and this is for the workout. Let's say make it workout. Now you can simply going to printing this out. So you can simply going to printing it out for the 4 times. So here you can give it to here the breakfast name, dinner names, and the workout name. मैं थोड़ा slowly जा रहा हूँ यहाँ पर, क्योंकि यहाँ पर ऐसा कुछ है ना, उसको तो समझना पड़ेगा ना बस। So देखो यहाँ पर सीधा आ जाएगा। So we printing here restaurant name, breakfast name, dinner names and worker name. देखो यहाँ पर आ गया. Okay, थोड़ा गड़बड़ है यहाँ पर. So I need to making this as a breakfast. Okay, that's my bad actually. So I need to make it as a breakfast. I'm going to copy this out. I have to make it as a breakfast as well, and this is for the dinner. So let's make it dinner. So इधर पे होगा dinner, and then इधर पे होगा workouts. Okay, so वो भी आपको हैंडल करना पड़ेगा. कॉपी इज अ बैड थिंग, क्योंकि उसमें बहुत गलत होता है. गलत मतलब मिस्टेक हो जाते हैं यहाँ पर. So then you can see the restaurant name, the breakfast and dinners and the workout as well, so that you can see. Okay, that's really is working very fine, but here is one problem as well. It having some problem based on the data showing. So we can also cleaning the list, because this is a list itself, because it's a list itself. So from this list we can also do some cleaning operations. We can also do stripping the line. So let's say from the backslash n we're going to creating here a new line. So what I can do is simply going to creating here a variable for that. So not variable, we're going to creating here methods. So let's say def, we can say that clean list. Let's say clean underscore list. Just it will taking one block, because it's nothing but a list itself. You just make it as a block name as a block, and then you're going to returning here and list comprehensions. So here we have the lines. So let's say from line in block dot strip. So let's say block dot strip. Okay, that's our line, and you're going to split it based on the backslash n. So let's say split based on the backslash n, because in our result you can see some kind of backslash n as well. So based on this backslash n, you're going to dividing this out. So if line dot strip, let's say if line dot strip. Okay, stripping here each of the line based on this backslash n and try to make it each of the single point. Okay, so what I can do is simply going to make it as a line dot strip, and inside this strip what I can do is simply going to give it to here this kind of thing. Okay, because we already see in our output. I think I delete it. Okay, but you can go back and you can see it having on the line like that. Okay, you can see it having on a line like that. Okay, now with just removing here this backslash n, that you can see this output format item one, the backslash n, and also removing here this one. Okay, now it is nothing but on single kind of like so 1 2 3 4 like that. Okay, so we removing all of the things. That's our clean list. Now we have to apply it to our uh, all of the variables. So we can simply go into creating here, let's say restaurant name. Let's say restaurant name, same variable. Now we can also pass it down. So that's restaurant names is equal to, we can calling here this clean list, and inside this clean list we're going to passing here the restaurant name, and we can taking here the first index one, because in our list we just having one value. Okay, and first one is nothing but our list. I mean we just taking here the value from here, because this is a list, and in our list we having all of the restaurant names, all of the breakfast name, all of the dinner names. We just checking the first index, that's mean just string. And then we also check that if restaurant names, if it is the have the restaurant name, I mean if it's have the value, then we take in, otherwise we just returning here an empty string. Now we need to do it for the four other things, for the breakfast, for dinners, and the workouts. Okay, let's make it as a breakfast. Let's breakfast, and let's say dinner name. Let's say dinner name, dinner name, and finally the workout names. So workout names, and workout names. Okay, now we can simply go into printing this out. So let's say print. So what I can do, you can simply going to say that, let's say backslash n, you can say that recommended, let's say restaurants, and then you can also give it here some backslash n, and then we can also show it with top two backslash n. So just for a styling purpose. Okay, nothing else. Okay, sorry. So I can give it comma after that, backslash n, and then you can joining it out. Let's say join the restaurant name. So let's say restaurant names, and now you can copy it out for 4 times. So let's paste it here, paste it here, paste it here, and then you have the breakfast. We can copy it from here, breakfast. So then you have the dinner, you have the dinner, we have the workouts. Okay, copy it and paste it. Simple. And then here is nothing but call the breakfast, right? Breakfast name, breakfast names, and the dinner names, and a workout name. So let's save it. And let's go on here to running these applications. I mean script. So I'm waiting for a few seconds because it will calling it out. Okay, now you can see it's calling here the chains and you can see result. Okay, so you can see recommended restaurant, you can see those are restaurant name. Recommended breakfast luchi with aloo dum मेरा बहुत फेवरेट है. उसके बाद है रिकमेंडेड डिनर्स, डिनर में बिरयानी विद चिकन रेजाला. मैं इतना ज़्यादा नहीं खाता हूँ लेकिन चिंगड़ी मलाई खारी इज माय फेवरेट वन. Then the recommended beaching working along with the Ganga rivers, मुझे अच्छा लगता है बहुत. Yoga at home or in a local studio, मैं तो सोते रहता हूँ. Swimming at a nearby pool, हाँ swimming आता है. Cycling भी आता है. High intensity interval training in a local gym, जिम करता था लेकिन अब नहीं करता हूँ. Body weight exercise like push up, squat, push up करता हूँ. Squat and lunges, okay करता हूँ. थोड़ा थोड़ा करता हूँ. So that's it. Now what I can do, we're going to creating here our Flux applications. So इसके लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा, मुझे यहाँ पर एक app.py फाइल क्रिएट करना पड़ेगा. Creating here app.py file, and after that I'm also creating here a folder called templates, and inside this folder I'm going to creating here two HTML file. One is called index.html, another one is called the result.html. Here I'm going to showing here my result. So I simply going to pasting here the code, just blank code here. I mean the designing part. Nothing is fancy. We are not going to connect it right now to our app.py file, but alongside code, we're simply going to add it one by ones. So what I can do first, I'm going to filling this out, this index.htmls as well as the result.html, so that you can see the UI how it look like. Well, so right now the code on here in the index.html and the result.html. मैं यहाँ पर कोट नहीं कर सकता क्योंकि HTML फाइल वो थोड़ा ऐसा ही होगा, क्योंकि आपको पता होगा ना HTML CSS करने में बहुत सारे टाइम लगते हैं. सो दैट्स व्हाई जस्ट पेस्ट हियर द कोड. आई एम नॉट राइटिंग बाय ओन बिकॉज मैंने इसको आगे से डेवलप कर चुका हूँ. जस्ट यहाँ पर जो कोड है ना, जो बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक कोड है ना, उसको जस्ट पेस्ट कर दिया यहाँ पर. So it's nothing, it's just having on from tag. In inside is from tag, we're having all of the deep, and inside is deep, we have the labels and the input box. So nothing else on here. Same thing for the result that you can see, just having for the restaurant, for the breakfast, and the dinners. So let's go inside this index.html file, and I am simply going to click here to open with live server. So I just actually designing this website, I mean the page, using the tailwind CSS. So click on open with live server. So it will opening it inside your local browsers. Okay, you can see local browsers. So you can see NutriNavigator, personalized diet, restaurant, and workout recommendation using AI. So it having some kind of input boxes that you can see. You can selecting here the gender, male, females. You can give the weight, height. Okay. So if I click on here, nothing is happening on here because we are not connected to the server yet. So same thing for the result.html. If I'm going to printing, I mean showing this out in the OpenIT live server, that you can see nothing fancy on here, just personal recommendations, restaurant, breakfast, dinners, and the workout. So here we are getting the data from our servers. We're simply going to show it after that one, each of the lines. Okay. So now what I can do is simply going to go inside our app.py file, and you're going to connecting this index.html as well as the result.html in our app.py file. So first what I can do, I am simply going to import here the Flux, because in this case we're going to using the Flux. You can also using the Fast API. So let's say from Flux, I'm going to import here the Flux and the render template, so that you can also render the template from the template folder. That's the render and templates, and as well as we're going to import here the request modules. I mean the request, not module actually, request. And then I'm going to import here the import here it from the main.py file, because it's needed at all. So I'm going to paste it here. So first you're going to see that how can I creating here an application in Flux. So let's say app is equal to Flux, and then inside that I'm going to give it to here app underscore name, and then I'm going to creating here an initial route. So let's say app.route. Let's give it to here one initial route. So we can give it to here an initial route. Okay, not like that, not it look like that. And then you're going to creating here a function called, let's say, index. and then you're going to return here and random template of index.html. So let's say index.html, and then you're simply going to calling here these functions, I mean app.run. Okay, so let's say if underscore name, okay, name and underscore is equal to underscore main. We're going to running here the applications. Let's say app dot, we can say that run, let's say app dot run, and inside that you're going to give it to here the debug is equal to true, so that you can also see the debug console. Let's say debug is equal to true, and now let's save it, and now let's running these applications. Let's run Python file. So to running this application in your local server with some port number. So its port, it's the 5000 port is opening, it's running in on here. So click on follow link. Now you can see the applications, NutriNavigator, personalized diet, restaurant, and the workout recommendation using AI. That's when it will actually redirect in here this HTML page that you decided. Okay. Now you can see the URL. It's look like that. Now what I can do is simply going to close it right now, and you're going to copy the code from here. So you're going to copy this code up to, and you're going to paste it to here. And after that, what I can do, it also creating here a function, or you can say we need to creating here route for the recommendations. So let's creating here route, so that when the users clicking to this button, this recommend diet, so that it will calling this out. So now you can see this site can be reached just because of we stop the server, that's why. So now let's creating this out. Let's say app.route. So can I creating here route for, let's make it as a recommend. Okay, recommend, just getting here, give here a name called recommend, and then you're going to creating here a function called recommend as well. Okay, and in our functions, what I can do is taking the input from the users. Okay, so that's when it also give it to here inside our index.html file, and in this action I have to give it here function name that we already created inside our app.py file, as well as we need to also give it here the method name. So our method is starting with the post methods. So now what I can do, so you can say that if a requested method using this request, if the requested method is starting with the post method, that means you're calling here, the API is calling, or the request is calling from this index.html file. So let's say if the request, let's say request dot from, okay, from, I mean form. So you just give it to here the age. Sorry, not like that. Request dot method. Sorry, dot method is equal to post method. Let's say post method. Then we're simply going to take in the input from the users. So if the method is equal to post method, that you can see, that's when you are getting the data of, it's calling from this index.html file. So then we're going to take in the input. So what I can do, you can using here this request. So let's say request dot from, and from this from we take in the value of the age. If I go into this index.html, and for this case you can see name is nothing but the age. So from this name convention you're taking here the data from here. So this is nothing but called the age. Then you have the gender. So let's say gender, let's say request dot from, and you give it to here as a gender, and then we are going to give it to here, let's say weight. So weight, same thing, request dot form, and you can using here the gender, and we can using here the weight. Let's say weight, and same thing for height. That's the height, same thing, request request dot form, and you have the height, and you can copy this out first. देन हाइट के बाद क्या है, बैच और नॉन बैच. सो मैं इधर से भी कॉपी कर सकता हूँ इसको, बैच और नॉन बैच. देन इधर पे जाओ, इधर पे ऊपर भी है ना, ऊपर है, अच्छा. So you can give it to here batch or non-batch, and you can give it to here batch or non-batch, because variable name is same in these cases. So let's say request dot from, and inside that you're going to give it to here this disease. Okay, so let's make it as a disease, and then you have the region request dot from, and you can give it to here the region. Same thing for the allergies. So allergies, let's say request dot from, and you can give it to here allergies. And then you have the food type. थोड़ा बोरिंग है मुझे पता है, लेकिन करना पड़ेगा क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोग कमेंट करते हैं, मैं इसका कोड नहीं करता हूँ, जस्ट एक्सप्लेन करता था, तो इसलिए मैंने सोचा कर लेते हैं उसको, कुछ फ़ायदा भी हो जाएगा आपका. तो food type is requested from and food types. Now we're simply going to go on here, and then you're going to copy here this line chain. Okay, so you're going to go on here. Now you're going to creating here the chain. So in here the chains, and then it's also creating here dictionary for this input data. So you're going to copy this out, and I'm going to paste it to here, and then we can simply going to go to the under jana, then make it age, then gender, then weight, then height, then the batch and non-batch, and batch or non-batch. So simply going to give it to here, then disease, so you're going to copy it and you're going to pass it to here, then the region, and then we have the allergies and the food type. So there's the food type, because the variable name is same as you can see in here. And after that, what I can do is simply going to creating here the chain.run. So you're going to go inside this main.py file, and then you're going to copying here this code. So you can copy this code up till now, and then you're going to paste it to here. Okay, so what we have the results and the restaurant name, as well as the breakfast name, dinner, workout, and the functions that we created for cleaning, and as well as our workout name. And then I'm going to returning here our data in our result templates. So what I can do, you're going to return it. Let's say return the render templates. So let's say render underscore templates, and then you're going to give it to here result.html. So that's our inside our folder that's called result.html. And here you need to show here restaurants, the breakfast, dinners, and the workout in a list. So you're going to pass it to here in these parameters. So we can pass it to here. So first you're going to passing here the restaurant name. So let's say restaurant name. This is the restaurant names is equal to restaurant names, and then we can simply going to take it from this result.html file. And then what we have the breakfast name. So let's say breakfast name is equal to breakfast name, breakfast underscore names. And then we have the dinner name. So let's say dinner underscore name is equal to dinner underscore names. Okay, as well as the workout. So we can give it to here workout. So let's say workout name is equal to workouts. Okay, and after that, what I can do is simply going to get it from this result.html. So if we got any kind of error, then you're going to be returning here the same templates called index.html. Let's say render template, and inside that I'm going to give it to here this index.html. That's it. Okay, and I'm simply going to save it here, and then I'm going to go inside this result.html file. So what I can do, we are going to show it in this list. So if I'm going to show it, open with live server, so it is opening this result.html in your default web browsers. So in here you can see it loaded. You can see personal recommendations, restaurant, breakfast, dinner, and the workout. So in after this restaurant, I'm going to showing here the restaurants names. So because we're passing here in a kind of list, so we need to also stack it, right? We need to also stack it, and you can stack it or iterate to all the value using for loops. So you can simply going to go into this result.html, and inside that you're going to creating here the ginger templates. So we're going to using here and for loop. Let's say for I in you can say that restaurant name, because the name convention should be the same as it is, that is pass it from here app.py file. So you are going to pass it to here the result restaurant name, and inside that you need to also give it here one list. So after that you're going to also closing here this tag, I mean this template. So here we can say that let's say and for, and then inside this for block we are going to show here in the from of list. So let's say li, and then you're going to give it to here our I. Okay, so let's say I, and let's save it, and let's go inside the app.py file, and I'm simply going to run it out. So let's click on here to run Python file, and I'm going to closing this out because it's not needed. And in our index.html file, you also added here our actions, recommend functions that we created, as well as the method is a post methods, and our result you're also showing here the restaurants. And how we getting the result for restaurant, and then after that you're going to adding all of them one by one, just like the just like actually the breakfast, dinner, and the workouts. So you can simply going to go on here and click on follow link, and it will open in the page look like that. Let's give it to age 25, male, weight let's say 17 kg, height let's say 6 centimeters, and then let's say non-veg, disease let's say none, and allergies let's say none, and region let's say India, Kolkata, and food type obviously Bengali. And now I'm simply going to click here to recommend diets. So method not allowed, the request methods for the request URL. So this method is not allowed. I don't know why. Let's checking it here. So post request recommend this HTTP methods. So let's go inside this index.html and see what's the error actually. So recommend, let's see the function name as well as the name that we give it to here. So recommend, okay, correct, I hope so. So let's save it now, and now let's go on here and click on reload. Okay, and let's try to do it for 1 second. Let's say recommend it. Okay, it's a method not allowed. So we give the post request to the method, but it's not working. So why? I need to check in this out. Okay, this not working just because of in our route we are not mentioned here the methods. So let's say methods is equal to, let's say, post. Okay, we need to also mention here the method name. So let's save it now. Now it's allowed to access, so we can reload in the application again. So this is nothing but this one. So we can get back to here, and now let's click on recommend diet. Now you can see it's loading, and it will try to give you the result. You can see here we accessing here the restaurant name. You can see, okay, so O Kolkata, Peter Cat, Mokabu, and the Ajad Hind Daba. Okay, that you can see in the restaurants. Now you can simply go into accessing here all of the things just like breakfast, the dinners, and everything. So we can copy it out and we can paste it to here for breakfast, for the dinner, and for the workout. So we need to just replacing here the variable name. So we can copy this out, the breakfast names. We can go on here inside this result.html. The first one is restaurant, then this is the breakfast, and then we have the dinner names. We can copy this out, and you can simply paste it to here, and after that you have the workout names. So we can copy and we can paste it to here. So let's save it, and now let's go on here. If I see our kernel is also running our terminals, so you can see if I reloading this one applications, so you can see the recommendations, breakfast, dinners, workout, everything you can see on here. So let's back and try to testing this out in a full screen mode. That's our application is ready. So let's give it here age as a 50, and height let's say 85, and let's say height is let's say 5.8. Let's say he's a veg, disease let's say some problem, let's say what kind of problem you can say, let's say gastric problem, let's say gastric issue, just like that. And allergy let's say it have, yes, and let's say India, Kolkata, same thing, Bengali. Let's click on recommend diet. Just wait for the thing. Yeah, we can see that it have some the same restaurant name, because in Kolkata in each of the restaurant you are allowed to take the batch, okay, batch recipe. So you can see KP Kitchen's the very big brand, and breakfast you can see poha with vegetables and nuts, idlis with sambar and coconut chutney, whole wheat paratha with vegetable sabji, oatmeal with fruit and honey, Bengali style misti doi with muri, coconut water with brown rice flakes. अच्छा होता है. Dinner vegetable biryani with raita, and grilled fish with steamed vegetable and brown rice. Chana masala with whole wheat roti and salad. Mixed vegetable curry with brown rice and roti. Lentil soup with the whole bread. Okay. So breasting working for 30 minutes, yoga for flexible strength, swimming for the cardiovascular health because थोड़ा gastric problem है. Cycling of 20 minute body weight exercise for strength training, and low impact aggregate weight management. Okay, so this is nothing but for one a person who have some disease or allergies problem, even the age is less like 85 or 75 like that. Okay, so this is how the application actually work and how it look like. So I hope you enjoy this full tutorial, and make sure to subscribe to the channels, as well as share it with your friend, and also hit the bell icon so that you will notify how any uploading here the new videos. So namaste and thank you. Bye bye.